Thank you very much. Okay, my name's Rafael Kent and I'm a designer. I studied graphic communication in Bristol, and over the last 10 years I naturally progressed into web design and online media. I now specialise in UI, UX and interaction design. I currently work for Aviva Digital, and Aviva, if you haven't heard of Aviva already, is a global insurance and investment company. I'm going to talk to you a little bit about a recent project that went live, and hopefully this will give you some insight into working for a large organisation and some of the processes and design challenges faced. So, without further ado, let's get into it. Insight into the project: retirement, design and site migration. We will look at the problem, the solution, the work, how we got there, the process and the outcomes. So the retirement project, the project objectives or the brief was to formulate a dialogue with the user outlining retirement options. Very exciting, hey? Available products and services from Aviva. The premise was to direct users into quote and buy journeys and access funds via the My Aviva platform, which is a management portal and allows you access to your pension and stocks and shares ISAs in one dashboard. It's a new website design and overhaul using a new style guide, pattern library and framework. We've been working on a framework over the last 2 years, and it's using atomic design principles and pattern libraries to formulate a website which we can roll out globally across all of the sites that Aviva manage, which range from Singapore to France, Canada, and all the markets. The site migration, I'm going to look at the migration of the site, which is to one single CMS, content management system. Previously, Aviva were using around 4 or 5 different CMS systems, all on different platforms. So it was an amalgamation of lots of different sites, and now we are looking at migrating to one single platform for ease of use. So the global objective of this website, this new website, is to reduce the content from 10,000 pages to 600. So that's a massive cull in content and reduction. This includes high-level societal issue. Did you know 29% of adults in Britain do not have savings and investments, and 46% only have cash savings with low interest rates, which provide poor returns? Yeah, that's quite shocking actually, because it actually states that our generation doesn't have anything to fall back on, and that's a relatively big issue. And it frames the question: do we actually need retirement funds? The complexity of being a 322-year-old insurance company. That's a little. I'm just going to throw in a little fact. That's as old as the composer Franz Schubert. So, and Aviva have been insuring cart and horse and all sorts since, a long time ago, 1797, which is, yeah. Our customer base is complex. Aviva own 30% of all pensions in the UK, which is a merger of acquisitions and third-party products. So Aviva brought out other pensions and companies and brought them all, consolidated them all together. And it's an amalgamation of direct, individual and business customers. Non-direct customers, for example, pensions coming through like workplace pension and various other employer schemes. The immediate issue that the original site, the existing site, was overly saturated. This is an example of the original website in all its glory. It is very dated and abides by your typical 960 grid, generic static iconography, infinite amounts of products, sub-products and offerings. It had a huge technical debt as well, and code legacy. So yeah, it was created and cluttered page flows, and Aviva contributed to this over a lot of years. So this site started in 2000, and continued until recently, and it's just constantly being added to and added to and added to. Continuation of existing site, the low-level page, so over-engineered UX, clunky functionality, inconsistent UI, generic stock photography. It's constant use of lens flare as well, which you can't see particularly well on this screen, but it looked very dated very quickly. And there's a lot of duplication and cannibalization of pages. So the site accidentally became self-defeating, which was resulting in harming Aviva's customers. Retirement-specific issues, so no clear defined path of action in most sections. Product pages without introduction, you're just thrown into a product and expected to know what it was about, long monotonous pages. The immediate solution was to create this frictionless funnel, which I'm going to talk a little bit more about in detail as we go through. But the frictionless funnel is to drive customers through the journey so that you have one way in and one way out, and you're not distracted by other sub-products or offerings too earlier on. Simplified category pages, bite-sized content models, new naming conventions as well. Insurance is full of jargon and acronyms, which again just complicated the experience. So new product pages having a customer-centric approach and requirements. This is it. Okay, so new retirement gateway page. Ta-da! Instantly engaging, non-typical retirement imagery. It's fun. It's opening a dialogue and starting to create a narrative with the user. And we worked with the content team and improved the relationship between the text and the imagery, creating a unified whole. The Aviva pension, helping you save for the future, very to the point, opening up using the whole screen, took out the sub-navigation, added in this yellow in-page jump navigation, which directs the user up and down without branching off into other areas of the site too early in the journey. And the photography is quite dynamic. It's not your staged, typical stock shots of people smiling and grinning, and it's supposed to have a little bit of an Instagram feel. And we've added some filters to give it a bit more punch, and that's a consistent treatment throughout the site. We structured the content into modules as well, which works like this. So this is the retirement site divided into 3 life phase channels branching off the category landing page. This is the frictionless funnel I was talking to you about. So to create a narrative where you actually are directed down the site depending on your life phase. Saving and planning is aimed at pre-retirement audience, which is less than 55. It's where you can, that's what we called accumulation, and you are looking at saving options and choosing your pension funds, and you can invest in the stocks and shares ISA. And the next stage is using your money. It's aimed at middle-aged, so 55 plus, which is the decumulation, where you are looking at deploying your savings. And the last stage, helping retirement, it's planning for the unexpected, it's elderly care and support. Examples of the new UI components and the new UI library created from the framework and the patterns that we marked out as a collective, as a design team, and it snaps together to form the page flows. Also, the configurations can invert, so we created a zebra theme which goes from light to dark, or light to dark and dark to light. So when you scroll down, it actually houses the content into a suitable segment, and it kind of anchors it to the page when you scroll, and gives you a sense of direction and position within the site. There's subtle differences. Customer feedback, the site is easy to use and the information is clear and easy to understand. I found what I was looking for quickly. Efficient and effective web presence is critical. Lots of big organisations still have clunky UX. This works well. That was from the Aviva survey from last June. Examples of additional functionality, call-outs, utilities, interactive calculators, transparency tables, all to heighten the experience and make it as engaging as possible. We also introduced this teal colour to the colour palette, because I don't know if you know, Aviva traditionally has a stark yellow and blue, which isn't particularly user-friendly, especially on screen. Type doesn't render particularly well on yellow. So we introduced this teal blue, which is kind of soft and welcoming, and it tested really well. So that was a nice addition and opened up the colour palette somewhat. So we've mapped out clear user journeys and not the millions of entry points that we had before. Iconography. The iconography is based on gamification principles of unlocking and collecting. So these badges you can collect as you progress through the journey, or buy products from Aviva, and it's supposed to be quite satisfying when you collect them all. The My Aviva dashboard actually looks quite bare when you only have one, so it's tapping into gamification, and you know, you can collect them all, a bit like Pokemon if you're into that. Feedback, really easy to navigate. The directions, suggestions seem to cover obvious, relevant questions that I had. And the addition of Wealthify. So recently, Aviva partnered with Wealthify. I don't know, have you heard of Wealthify? Anyone? Hands up. Wealthify, good stuff, brilliant. Yeah, it's stocks and shares ISAs, and it's very easy and clearly laid out. You can start investing for as little as £1. This isn't a plug for Wealthify at all. It's well worth checking out. And this is the dual branded theming to increase the profile, and investments for a new audience as well, a younger audience, and opening it up, simplifying it and making it more accessible. Added elements of hipsterification, fresh out of Shoreditch, making investments trendy. Okay, process, how do we do it? The retirement section has been Aviva's largest AEM delivery, 77 pages in total. The work included inception, identifying needs, exploring possibilities, voicing justifiable improvements, content remodeling, so working with the content team, removing content, making calls, adjusting content, making it as direct and tangible as possible with a contextual narrative. User testing, UX, UI development, testing environments, sign off and launch. We have a lot of different test environments. Obviously with Aviva, has to be super secure so that the firewalls cannot be breached and data leaked. It's ridiculous amount of security. So obviously that's very important. And development as well, working with different development teams, front-end framework, back-end, AEM development teams, and bring them all together. And yeah, it's big. It's this big. This is how many teams we work with, a lot of teams. And we work in an agile environment. So we're constantly, it's a collaboration. And when you work as a designer, obviously you want things to look and work as best as possible. However, other people across the business have slightly different ideas. So it's a matter of managing those expectations and bringing it into a format which is a functional solution. So it's aligning business, technical and end user requirements. Working with business analysts, marketing, financial promotions, legal risk and compliance, development platforms, delivery management, and stakeholders. We work with a lot of stakeholders, which is always good fun. Okay, summary. Communication. We strive to bridge the communication between user and machine. That is, as a designer, that is my prime objective, is to make that as clear as possible and create a digital ecosystem to pilot cost-effective and rapid deployment of engaging content. I should really stop reading off this like a robot and just talk to you like a normal person. Okay, target audience. Yeah, deliver a simple, rewarding, effortless customer experience to a wider target audience, and consistency as well. We strive for consistency. The previous website, as you saw, wasn't particularly wonderful to look at, but that was actually one of the better ones out of the markets. Previously, it was a free-for-all in terms of what was going live, and now we're in a position where we can actually govern the quality and review designs and create global consistency. So when the need is clear, a suitable solution can be defined and design challenges can be overcome. What's great about digital? Well, I really like digital, and I'll tell you why, because it's very malleable and very flexible. So it's the ability to iterate design once built. It's a continuous learning feedback loop. So when something goes live and it's been there for a while, and people have been uploading new content and changing the website, and when the website essentially outgrows its design, then you know it's time to reevaluate and redesign, launch, rinse and repeat. And it's a process, and it's going to continue to evolve in. So this you're creating an ecosystem, and yeah, that's really great. So that is my last slide. Aviva retirement. Please check out the live site, and I thank you very much for listening.